Y'all, it's getting real messy down in Atlanta, and we've got the exclusive tea that's turning heads, breaking hearts, and setting the love and hip-hop streets on absolute fire. You thought the drama was over? Think again, because this time, Kirk Frost ain't playing tough. Nope. He's breaking down, y'all, begging. Yes, you heard that right, begging Rasheeda for forgiveness after a jaw-dropping doctor's warning sends shockwaves through the Frost household. And just when you thought it couldn't get any more chaotic, Jasmine comes in swinging literally. Hands are thrown, secrets explode, and loyalties are torn to pieces. This ain't your usual family squabble. We're talking tears, therapy, hospital visits, and yes, fists. Jasmine didn't just show up, she showed out. And when Rasheeda found out what really happened behind those clinic doors, chilly. Let's just say the cameras had to stop rolling. But we kept watching. Rumors are swirling, fans are in disbelief, and insiders are calling this the most explosive moment in Frost family history. Was this all a cry for help from Kirk? Or is there something way darker going on beneath the surface? Did Jasmine know what she was doing when she confronted Rasheeda, or was she pushed over the edge? Buckle up, because this story's about to unravel like a lace front in a windstorm. The stakes are high, the emotions are volcanic, and nobody's walking away unscathed. Who's telling the truth? Who's faking the tears? And who might just end up in the hospital for real? Grab your popcorn, baby, because what happened next has never been seen before. Stay tuned as we break down every emotional outburst, every twisted betrayal, and the moment that left the entire crew and the fans shook to their core. And let's just say, what the doctor told Kirk might change everything. Let's get into it. It all started with a phone call that Rasheeda never expected. One moment, she was getting her makeup done for a brand collab photoshoot, and the next, she was gripping the edge of her vanity table with a look of sheer disbelief. The caller ID said Kirk's clinic, and her heart dropped. She hadn't even known he had gone to a clinic. When she picked up, the nurse's voice was calm explaining that Kirk had been advised to rest and avoid stress due to elevated blood pressure and cardiac warning signs. Rasheeda's jaw clenched. What stress? What warning signs? She'd just seen him at breakfast that morning, scrolling through Instagram like nothing was wrong. But apparently, after a few dizzy spells and one fainting scare that he had kept hidden, Kirk had gone to the doctor behind her back. And now, there was a warning. A serious one. She stormed out of the house, ignoring her phone, ignoring the makeup artist, ignoring everything except the worry and rage that was now building like a pressure cooker. Because this wasn't just about Kirk's health, it was about secrets. And Rasheeda was done with secrets. She showed up at the clinic just as Kirk was walking out, wearing sunglasses and trying to act casual. But the second he saw her face, that mask dropped. I was gonna tell you, he started, but she wasn't having it. You were gonna tell me when? After your funeral. She snapped, loud enough for people in the parking lot to turn. You've been walking around like everything's fine, hiding doctor visits, and what? Hoping it'll just go away. Kirk lowered his voice, trying to de-escalate, but Rasheeda wasn't calming down. She grabbed the folder in his hand and flipped through the papers, scanning for answers. You've got high blood pressure, possible arrhythmia, and you didn't think your wife should know. Her voice cracked on that last word, the emotion pouring through. Kirk looked broken, eyes red, but instead of anger, what came next shocked Rasheeda to her core. He dropped to his knees right there in the parking lot. Anne grabbed her hand. Baby, I messed up. I know. I ain't been right. I've been carrying too much. Trying to fix everything. Protect you from more drama. But I can't do it alone anymore. The sincerity in his voice hit her like a freight train. People were filming now. Cars were slowing down. But Rasheeda didn't care. She yanked her hand away and walked toward the car, but not before saying, You want to fix this? Then start telling me the truth. All of it, right now. And just like that, the dam broke. Kirk admitted he'd been under pressure from every angle: business, finances, Jasmine trying to reach out again, and even old secrets resurfacing. That last part made Rasheeda stop in her tracks. Jasmine? What about Jasmine? Kirk looked like he'd swallowed a cactus. She's been texting me, talking about Cannon and school and how he needs more from me. She even popped up at Frost Bistro last week. I didn't want to tell you because I knew it would start a storm. Rasheeda's face hardened. A storm? Oh, he had nitrogen monoxide idea. The rest of that day was a blur of emotion. Rasheeda went from furious to silent to icy calm, all while her brain processed every betrayal. She had forgiven Krik for Jasmine once before. Hell, she had stood beside him when the world called her a fool. But now, with Kirk's health on the line, and Jasmine reappearing like a ghost with glittered claws, it felt like too much. That night, Rasheeda didn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling, hearing Krik coughing downstairs, imagining worst scenarios, and debating whether this marriage was even worth saving. But what she didn't know, what Krik hadn't told her yet, was that Jasmine wasn't just texting anymore. She was planning something. And she was done playing nice. 2 days later, the confrontation erupted like a volcano. Rasheeda had just arrived at Frost Bistro for a last-minute staff meeting when Jasmine strolled in unannounced. Wearing a neon bodycon dress and a smug look that screamed trouble. "We need to talk," Jasmine said loudly, drawing stares from the staff and diners. "You and me, woman to woman." Rasheeda's blood boiled. She motioned for the staff to clear the area, and Jasmine followed her into the back kitchen like she owned the place. That's when it went down. "You showing up here like this?" Rasheeda spat. "You really have no boundaries." Jasmine crossed her arms. "I tried being respectful. I reached out to Krik quietly, but y'all always act like I'm the problem. Cannon is his son, and I'm tired of the Frost family acting like he don't exist unless it's convenient." Rasheeda's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "Don't you dare talk about convenience when you were sleeping with a married man." Jasmine laughed bitterly. "Oh, so now you want to act brand new? Girl, you knew what Krik was doing before. I even did. You just didn't want to admit it." That's when the yelling started. Pots clanged. Voices escalated. And then Jasmine said the one thing that flipped the switch. "If Krik dies tomorrow, at least I can say I tried to give Cannon closure." "What can you say?" Rasheeda lunged. Security rushed in. Hands were flying. Jasmine threw the first punch, but Rasheeda didn't back down. The two women were separated just as a tray of silverware went crashing to the ground. And right there, in the middle of the chaos, Krik appeared, sweating, out of breath, clutching his chest. "Stop, just stop," he yelled, but his voice cracked and then he collapsed to the floor. Screams echoed through the bistro. Someone shouted for an ambulance. Jasmine backed away, hands over her mouth. Rasheeda dropped to her knees beside Krik, tears already falling. "Don't you dare die on me," she whispered. "Don't you dare." And as the EMTs rushed in and chaos spun around them, one thing became painfully clear. This wasn't just drama anymore. This was life and death. And Jasmine, she had just set fire to the one thing Krik had left to hold on to. As the sirens wailed and the bistro emptied, Rasheeda looked up, eyes locked on Jasmine, and said just one word: "Enough." But the storm had only just begun. Because when Krik opened his eyes in the hospital an hour later, the first thing he said wasn't "Where am I?" or "Is Rasheeda okay?" No, he said something that made Rasheeda's blood run cold. "She's gonna ruin everything?" And Rasheeda knew, in that moment, that Jasmine's reappearance wasn't just about Cannon. There was something deeper, something dangerous. And she wasn't about to let it destroy her family. Rasheeda sat frozen, in the corner of the hospital room, her hands clenched into fists in her lap, watching Krik as he lay pale and hooked up to monitors, whispering, "She's gonna ruin everything." That sentence echoed in her mind like a siren. Not "I love you," not "I'm sorry," not even "what happened." No. His first thought, his panic, was about Jasmine. What did she have over him? What hadn't he told her? The doctor soon came in, explaining that Krik had suffered a mild cardiac episode triggered by extreme stress, and that he'd need rest and full transparency with his family. Rasheeda nodded along mechanically, but inside, she was already building a list of questions. As soon as the doctor left, she leaned over Kirk's bed. "What does she have on you?" she asked coldly. Krik blinked, avoiding eye contact. "It's not what you think." But Rasheeda was done with evasions. "She showed up at the restaurant, she started swinging, and you collapse." "That's not nothing." "Krik, you said she's gonna ruin everything." "What did you mean?" He closed his eyes as if trying to will himself out of the situation. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, he said it. "There's a video." Rasheeda blinked. "What kind of video?" Krik hesitated. "A video from back when things got out of hand. From the early days, before we even tried to fix anything." Rasheeda felt her stomach twist. "You mean there's a sex tape?" Krik nodded slowly, shame thick in the air, like smoke. "She's threatening to leak it. Said if I didn't step up more for Cannon, she'd make sure the whole world saw who I really was." Rasheeda reeled. This was betrayal all over again. No. This was betrayal on steroids. And the worst part? It wasn't just about her anymore. It was about their businesses, their kids, their legacy. You should have told me, she said, eyes flashing. We could have handled it together. But instead, you let her hold this over you like a damn guillotine. Krik reached for her hand, but she pulled away. No. I need time, Krik. And space. And you need to fix this. Because if that video drops, it's not just your name on the line, it's mine too. She stormed out of the room, heart pounding. Outside, fans were already starting to gather. Word had spread that Krik Frost had been rushed to the hospital and Rasheeda was spotted at his side. Paparazzi circled like vultures. But Rasheeda had no time for them. She called her manager, ordered a full PR lock, and then called Bambi. She needed backup, and fast. Within an hour, Bambi, Sierra, and even Erica showed up at Rasheeda's mansion. The mood was tense. This ain't just about Jasmine no more, Rasheeda told them. She's got something that could wreck everything. And I need to know who's in my corner. Sierra stood first. Always. You already know. Erica nodded. If that girl's trying to pull some Mona Scott-level blackmail, then she doesn't know who she's messing with. Bambi narrowed her eyes. What you wanna do? Rasheeda took a deep breath. We confront her, not with fists, but with facts. We get ahead of this, force her hand, and expose the manipulation, before she can play the victim. The squad agreed, but little did they know Jasmine had her own army forming. She wasn't backing down. In fact, she had receipts. Text messages, screen recordings, even old voicemails of Krik saying things like if Rasheeda ever finds out, I'll lose everything. And she was ready to drop them. That night, Jasmine posted a cryptic Instagram story. A black screen with white text. Y'all better get your man before I post the truth. Tired of being painted the villain, the internet exploded. Fans were divided. Team Rasheeda was calling Jasmine thirsty. Team Jasmine said she deserved support for raising Cannon alone, and some trolls were just enjoying the chaos. Hashtags like #KrikConfession and #JasmineUnfiltered started trending. Rasheeda's phone blew up. Sponsors called, her mom even texted, "Baby girl, please stay off the internet tonight." But Rasheeda was done hiding. She went live, looking calm, composed, but with fire behind her eyes. She said, I'm not here to throw shade or play victim. I'm here to protect what I've built. If someone wants to bring up the past to tear down the present, let them know I'm ready. And I'm not alone. Comments flooded in hearts, flames, cheers. But Jasmine wasn't impressed. She went live just an hour later, standing in her kitchen with Cannon in the background, and said, people always want to act like I'm the problem. But where were y'all when I needed help? Where was the Frost family when my son cried at night? Now I'm the bad guy because I won't stay quiet. Then she added the bomb. I got the receipts. If I dropped them, just know it wasn't out of hate. It was out of pain. The next day, an anonymous Reddit account leaked a grainy clip that looked like a hotel surveillance video. It wasn't explicit, but it was clearly Krik. Clearly Jasmine, clearly put to fair. Rasheeda saw it and nearly dropped her phone. The comments were vicious. How many chances does he get? Rasheeda deserves better. Jasmine ain't lying. But she didn't cry. She didn't scream. She called. Her team scheduled an emergency sit-down at Frost Bistro and invited Jasmine herself. The goal, end it all once and for all. That afternoon, cameras rolled. Jasmine showed up in all white, like she was attending a peace treaty. Rasheeda wore black, like she was headed to war. Let's talk, Rasheeda said, sitting at the center booth. Jasmine smirked. I've been waiting. The two women stared at each other, years of resentment, pain, and betrayal simmering just beneath the surface. You want child support? Fine. You want Krik more involved? Fine. But this drama, these threats, that ends now, Rasheeda said coolly. Jasmine leaned in. Then tell your husband to stop acting like I'm disposable. Like our son's a mistake. And tell your fans to stop sending me death threats. I didn't ask for this life. Rasheeda narrowed her eyes. Neither did I, but we in it now. So here's what's gonna happen. You drop the footage, we go legal. You back off. We'll talk about setting real boundaries with support. Jasmine hesitated, clearly weighing her options. The cameras caught every breath, every eye twitch, every second of tension. And just when it looked like a truce might form, Jasmine said something that flipped the script all over again. You think this ends with me? You should be asking Krik about Keisha. Rasheeda blinked. Who? Jasmine smiled coldly. Oh, he didn't tell you. Girl, Keisha was before me. And she's got more to say than I ever could. Rasheeda stared, her world beginning to tilt again. Another woman. Another secret. Krik had barely survived one scandal. Now Jasmine was hinting at something deeper. More buried. The restaurant fell silent. The air sucked out like a vacuum. Rasheeda stood slowly. You're lying. Jasmine tilted her head. Am I? And with that, she walked out, leaving Rasheeda alone, shaking, staring into a truth she never expected. She thought the war was with Jasmine. But now, it might be with her own husband, and the ghosts of even older betrayals he never dared to confess. Rasheeda stood in the middle of Frost Bistro, the echo of Jasmine's last words still rattling in her head like a broken chandelier. Keisha was before me, before Jasmine, before the baby, before Rasheeda had even caught wind of Kirk's infidelities. How deep did this rabbit hole go? Her hands trembled slightly as she clutched her phone, staring at Kirk's name on the screen. She wanted answers. No, she needed them. But she also knew one thing. This couldn't happen over the phone. Not this time. She marched out of the restaurant, got into her car, and drove straight to the hospital. Krik was sitting up now, breathing easier, watching ESPN on mute when she walked in. The second he saw her face, the color drained from his cheeks. What happened? He asked. Rasheeda didn't blink. Kirk's lips parted, but no sound came out. She didn't need confirmation. His expression told her everything. You have another woman you kept from me. One who came before Jasmine, she hissed, shutting the door behind her. Krik looked down, ashamed. It was a long time ago. Before we even got married, it was just a fling. I didn't think you didn't think I deserved to know. She cut in. After everything we've been through, you think leaving out pieces of the truth is protecting me? No, Krik, it's humiliating me. And now this Keisha, whoever she is, might come forward next. With what? With what? A kid, a diary, a whole Netflix series. Krik rubbed his face, then slowly said, I don't think she'll come forward. It wasn't like that, but I messed up, okay? I've been living in fear that every corner I turn, another piece of my past is gonna walk out and destroy us. Rasheeda's voice cracked. You already did that yourself. There was silence between them for several beats. Then, quietly, Krik said, You leaving me? Rasheeda's jaw clenched. I don't know yet, but I am done playing the fool. She turned and walked out, slamming the door behind her. That night, social media lit up again. Someone claiming to be Keisha's cousin posted a blurry photo of a younger Krik with a woman who looked vaguely familiar. The caption, Y'all think Jasmine was the first. The comments spiraled. How many women this man got? Rasheeda better divorce his lying $1. Jasmine ain't lying. Krik been dirty. Fans were outraged. The Frost brand was under siege. And in the middle of it, Rasheeda's silence became louder than any post or tweet. She wasn't speaking. She wasn't defending. She was planning. Meanwhile, Jasmine wasn't done. Feeling emboldened by the internet's reaction, she scheduled an interview with a shady tabloid podcast and spilled more tea. They always act like I came in to destroy their marriage. But truth is, I was just one of many. Krik never stopped. And Rasheeda, she knew. She chose to forgive him publicly, but behind closed doors, let's just say it wasn't all love and hip-hop. When the interview dropped, the Frost family's group chat exploded. Rasheeda's cousin texted, You need to shut this chick down. Her mom called crying. Even her son Kai came to her and asked, Mom, are we gonna be okay? That broke her. She hugged him tight, wiped her face, and realized this wasn't just about pride anymore. This was about legacy. Her family, her kids, her businesses, and no side chick, no ghost from the past, no leaking video was going to tear that down. The next day, Rasheeda went back to Frost Bistro with a plan. She called a meeting with her manager, her lawyer, and her closest confidants. We take control of the narrative, she said firmly. I want a documentary series. Hello, my truth. If they want mess, I'll give them facts. If they want scandal, I'll give them survival. Her manager blinked. You want to tell everything? Rasheeda nodded. Everything. If I'm gonna be dragged through hell, it's gonna be on my terms. While plans for her series started taking shape, Krik tried to reach out. Flowers, texts, even a handwritten letter slipped under her office door. You're my heart, and I know I've damaged it. But I swear I'll do anything to fix us. Rasheeda read it, but didn't respond. Instead, she focused on filming the first teaser of her project. Standing in front of the camera, she looked straight into the lens. They called me stupid. They called me weak. But what they don't know is what I survived. This ain't just a story about betrayal. It's a story about a woman who rebuilt herself in the middle of her own ruins. Meanwhile, Jasmine caught wind of the documentary and went ballistic. She posted a now-deleted rant on IG Live. Rasheeda, wanna monetize her pain while acting like she ain't never known what was really going on? Don't play the victim now, sis. You were complicit. You played your role. I just refused to stay silent anymore. But the damage had been done. Jasmine's aggressive tone started backfiring. Fans who once supported her began backing off. Brands that wanted to work with her for influencer deals went quiet. The narrative was shifting. Rasheeda was owning her truth, and Jasmine was starting to look like a woman who went too far. But just when things started to tilt in Rasheeda's favor, a mysterious DM landed in her inbox. It was from a private account with no profile picture, no posts. The message said, "You think Jasmine's wild? Keisha's got a whole child, and she's ready to speak." Rasheeda's heart dropped. A child? Another secret? She replied instantly, "Who is this?" No response. Just a second message. Ask Krik about the night in Miami, 2004. The VIP room. Rasheeda stared at the message, her pulse racing. She walked over to her closet, pulled out an old scrapbook, and flipped to the photos from 2004. She and Krik had been on a break that summer. He'd flown to Miami for business. She hadn't thought much of it at the time. But now, every smile, every receipt, every untold story suddenly meant something more. She closed the book and whispered, "What did you do, Krik?" That night, she called him, "Meet me tomorrow. At the old studio. Just us. No cameras." Krik agreed, not knowing what was coming. Rasheeda didn't want an apology anymore. She wanted answers. Because if there really was a child out there, if this so-called Keisha was sitting on a bomb that could destroy everything they'd rebuilt, she wasn't waiting for it to explode. She'd light the match herself and walk away before anyone else could burn her again. The old studio was dark, dusty, and filled with echoes of music that had long since stopped playing. Rasheeda stood near the control board, arms folded, eyes fixed on the door as if expecting a ghost instead of a man. When Krik finally walked in, he looked exhausted, not just physically, but like a man who had aged 10 years in the last 10 days. He shut the door behind him, his movements slow, careful, as if afraid even the air might shatter. "You said no cameras," he muttered. "That means it's serious." Rasheeda didn't move. "Do you remember Miami? Summer '04, the VIP room at Club Oxygen?" Kirk's eyes widened. It was all the answer she needed. "Who is she, Krik? Who is Keisha, and is there a child?" His voice caught in his throat before it even left his mouth. Finally, he nodded once. Just once. But it was enough to send Rasheeda's heart straight to the floor. "Her name was Keisha. I met her through a promoter. It was just a night, I swear. I never saw her again. But a year later, she sent a letter, said she had a son. I didn't believe her. Never got a paternity test. I was scared. I told myself it couldn't be true." Rasheeda stepped back like she'd been slapped. "You told yourself, while we were rebuilding, you were out here playing Russian roulette with paternity." Krik stepped toward her. "I swear, I haven't spoken to her in over a decade. I buried it. Thought if I didn't acknowledge it, it couldn't hurt us. But now she's here," Rasheeda whispered. "Now she's ready to speak." Kirk's mouth fell open. "You've heard from her?" Rasheeda pulled out her phone, showed him the messages. Anonymous account. No replies. But someone out there knows. And they're watching. Krik sat down on the edge of the speaker box, burying his face in his hands. "I thought Jasmine was the worst of it. I didn't think Keisha would ever surface." Rasheeda's voice broke. "You thought wrong. And now we've got 2 ticking time bombs and the entire world watching to see which one goes off first." Krik looked up, tears forming in his eyes. "I'll take a DNA test. I'll reach out. I'll do whatever it takes." But Rasheeda shook her head. "It's too late for that, Krik. You should have done the right thing years ago. I'm not here for another promise. I'm here because I need to know if I'm standing beside a man or a myth." That line hung in the air like smoke from a fire that refused to die out. Just then, Rasheeda's phone buzzed. A new notification. Another DM. This time, a photo of a teenage boy holding a sign that read, "Looking for my dad. Mom says his name is Krik." Rasheeda gasped, and Krik grabbed the phone. "That's him," he whispered. "He looks just like." "Don't," Rasheeda snapped. "Don't say he looks like Kai." Don't say he looks like you. Because he looks like the future you were too much of a coward to face. Krik crumpled to the floor, sobbing. But Rasheeda didn't comfort him. Not this time. She turned and walked out of the studio into the cold night, her heart hollow but her mind razor sharp. The next morning, Rasheeda went live. This time, no glam squad, no lighting. Just her, raw, in a hoodie, sitting in her car. I've spent years loving a man who built his world on lies. I believed in forgiveness. I believed in growth. But I never agreed to be the keeper of someone else's secrets. There's another child, another truth, and now the only thing left to do is start over. The internet exploded. Fans were crying in the comments. Celebrities reposted her live with captions like "Queen Energy" and "She deserves peace." Jasmine, meanwhile, stayed uncharacteristically silent, but the damage was done. She had lit the match, but it was Kirk's past that set the house on fire. Back at the hospital, Krik checked himself out early, ignoring doctor's orders. He drove straight to a quiet neighborhood on the south side. He had tracked Keisha's address, down through an old mutual contact. He stood on the porch, heart in his throat, and knocked. The door opened slowly. Keisha stood there, older now, but unmistakable, and behind her, the boy, tall slim eyes, just like his. "So," Keisha said, "you finally showed up." Kirk's voice cracked. "Is he mine?" She nodded. "You gonna run this time too?" "No," Krik said, "I'm ready." But the question lingering in the air was, ready for what? Because back at the Frost Mansion, Rasheeda was packing bags not just for a publicity stunt, not for a brand deal. This time, it was real. She didn't announce it. She didn't film it. She just left a letter on the kitchen counter. "I gave you every ounce of me. Every chance, every restart. But I won't raise my children in a house built on half-truths. I'll always care for you. But I don't trust you, and without trust, there's nothing left to fight for." Or when Krik returned home, the silence hit him harder than the doctor's warning. Harder than Jasmine's threats. Harder than Keisha's quiet truth. The house was hollow, her scent gone, her presence erased. He opened the letter, read it 5 times, and finally understood. This wasn't a fight anymore. It was a funeral for everything they used to be. Meanwhile, Jasmine posted a story, showing herself and Cannon at a park. The caption reading, "Peace, finally." But even in her calm, she looked over her shoulder, because deep down, even she knew karma wasn't done. As for Keisha, she declined all interview requests. Her only public statement, a single tweet, "Some truths take years to surface. Doesn't mean they ain't real." And the boy Kirk's silent legacy made his own account. Bio, "I'm here. That's enough." Fans flooded his page with support. "You didn't ask for this, but we see you. Rasheeda should adopt him. IFR Krik, better step up or step aside." And through it all, Rasheeda stayed quiet. She launched her documentary series titled Resilience, The Rasheeda Story. The first episode ending with the sound of a door closing and her voiceover saying, "I built a kingdom on love, but even queens walk away when the crown turns to rust." And with that, the final curtain closed on what had once been Atlanta's power couple. Betrayals, lies, and long-buried secrets had finally shattered the image, leaving behind a woman rediscovering her power, and a man learning that regret doesn't come with a rewind button. And just like that, the empire Krik and Rasheeda built brick by scandalous brick has started to crumble. What began with a doctor's warning spiraled into a full-blown emotional catastrophe, dragging secrets from decades past into the harsh spotlight of the present. Jasmine's ambush lit the fuse, but it was Keisha's quiet bombshell that detonated what little trust remained. Fans are stunned. The internet is divided, and Rasheeda, she's rewriting her narrative on her own terms. Krik now stands at the crossroads of redemption and ruin, left to face 2 children from 2 different women, both connected to a legacy he tried to bury. Jasmine's fade into silence speaks volumes, while Keisha's quiet strength has reminded everyone that some stories take years to unfold, but when they do, they change everything. And through it all, Rasheeda has emerged not as a victim, but as a survivor. A woman who loved deeply, forgave too much, and finally found the strength to let go. But the question now is, what's next? Will Krik rebuild his broken bonds with the truth? Will Jasmine resurface again with even more dirt? And will Keisha ever step into the public eye and shatter what little piece remains? We want to hear from you. Do you think Rasheeda made the right choice walking away? Should Krik be given another chance now that he's trying to be a father again? And what about Keisha's son? Will he become part of the Frost family? or just another chapter in Kirk's book of regrets? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this story is far from over. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss the next bombshell. Because in the world of love and hip-hop, the drama never sleeps, and neither do we. See you in the next one. Stay messy, stay curious.